The next time you need auto parts and accessories, trust the parts professionals at the 102 Chicagoland O'Reilly Auto Parts stores. Our professional parts people know what it takes to get the job done right. Professionals have counted on O'Reilly Auto Parts for decades. Now you can too. Professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Hello and welcome, everyone. It is Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio, the only radio show without commercials and with more great paranormal talk. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Anthony Agati in New York.
And I'm Lucy Liebfried in Chicago. You are listening to one of the highest-rated paranormal radio shows on Blog Talk. No bull, no lies, just a true platform for everyone to share their knowledge and experiences. When searching for the truth, good communication is key. Now, tonight is all about you and your stories. Our phone lines are open. The call-in number is 661-244-9831. Make sure you press the number 1 when you first get through, or else we won't know if you're calling in to talk to us. Our chat room is also open, so you can type in your questions or comments as well. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Paranormal Review Radio. You will find more articles, blogs, and full show uploads. And if you have specific questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, email us at paranormal.review@aol.com. Now, sit back, get comfy, and prepare to open your minds. It's time for Paranormal Review Radio.
Well, you know, at the basic level, telling the story is a means of transmitting ideas from one person to another. Storytelling, you know, is basically a part of life. It's intrinsic to most cultures. They help people make sense of the world, life's experiences, dilemmas, hardships. Stories can educate and inspire and build rapport. They're a means of communicating, recreating, and helping preserve cultures by translating memories into a more concrete manner that can be handed down verbally or in a written form. Telling the story can provide the opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of one's experiences and oneself. Tonight, Lucy and I open the phone lines to hear your stories, your truths, and your experiences tonight. We want to experience what you've experienced and learn through your voice. Of course, we also have some paranormal news and stories that we will discuss and that we've come across, sort of to get the juices flowing and in between the phone calls. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some phenomenal guests tonight, which is obviously you guys. So, Lucy, I know you've got some articles that you came across, and the task that we sort of put ourselves under for this week was current news and things that were most prominent in social media and within the paranormal field itself. I have a couple of them that actually were fairly new. One is more prominent than the other one, which is almost it's actually in the UFO world. It's actually become a highly debatable topic in recent months, actually, since May, the beginning of May. And if you've caught that little hint, you probably may understand what I'm talking about. But I actually want to get into that topic a little bit later if we do have time. But where did you lean towards with getting your articles for tonight's show, or your news stories, or your sort of pop culture for tonight?
Actually, I did touch on the, I think we're talking about the same thing. My first story that I found pretty much I think is the same thing. So I'm going to skip over that one and go to my second one that I found, which if you have been on social media in the past 2 months, you have seen all of this about the Charlie Challenge and all of that. Well, in the last week, there was something a little bit different that came up about this. And then I just looked at a couple things. There's some other things. Oh, one thing that really caught my eye was actually is in New York City with you, actually in Brooklyn. But I don't know. Where do you want to start? Do you want me to start with Charlie?
Well, I guess throughout the entire night, what we'll do is just remind everybody, our phone lines are open. We don't have anybody in the queue right now. The number to call in is 661-244-9831. And as I mentioned before, tonight is your night. We want to hear from you. Any paranormal stories that you've had that you may just want to get off your chest. If there's, a story that you've had that you've never even told anyone maybe, that has been bugging you or is creating a dilemma in your life, like I said, it's always good to get it off your chest and let someone else know. We're like-minded folks here at Paranormal Review Radio, and everyone who listens to us are as well. Either we may have had the same experience or not. We sort of live in the paranormal world, and so we sort of understand what you may be going through or may not understand it, but have some feeling towards it. And bringing that forward hopefully may gain some confidence and trust and maybe sort of validate some of the things for you. Maybe if you have a question about something in the paranormal, maybe there's something that you've seen on television, or maybe it's an experience that you're not even sure is paranormal and you want to talk about it. Lucy and I are not experts. That's the first thing that we're going to say to everybody right now. We are not experts. We don't know how to get rid of spirits or demons or whatever. We don't know how to get rid of night tremors. We don't know how to get rid of the devil. We don't know how to do any of that. I don't think really anybody knows how to do any of that. Truthfully, and in the truest form, I don't think anybody knows how to. But, again, a great dialogue and throwing out theories and the possibilities that we can lay out always leads to some other form of support and help that hopefully that we can give everybody out there. And maybe if it's not us that leads you in a direction, maybe getting those thoughts going, maybe we'll pursue you to do research on your own or seek out help from someone else. If it's another radio show host or if it's another person within the field that you go to, great. And you get your answers that way, then we're happy. So tonight is all about you. Phone number is 661-244-9831. What were you going to say?
One thing I want to mention, I was uploading videos to YouTube this week, and I was kind of going through comments and stuff. If there's a show that we've done that you are curious about or if you've got a question about, because I see them in the comments all the time, give us a call. If there's a show that we've done that you've got a question about, call in. Let's talk about it. I noticed that there were a couple comments on the show that we did about the ghost box, which still seems to, raise a lot of questions, and people have their own opinions. Call in. Let us know what you think. I mean, did you agree? Did you not agree? Is there a show in the past that we did that you've got a question or a comment? Let us know.
All right, so I think we do have a call. Lucy, do you want to pick up the line and we'll take our first call for tonight?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're on the air with Anthony and Lucy. Who is this?
Hi, Anthony and Lucy. It's Iris.
Hi.
Hi, Iris.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. I was asking what your YouTube channel was. I was going to subscribe to you, and I was going to ask you to look at a couple of my videos as well.
Do you have personal videos that you've made?
Yeah, I do. I have tons. I should probably make the best of so you don't get bored. But what's your name on YouTube? I'll subscribe to you.
It's a weird name. It's 2011. I think it's I Paranormal. But if you type in, Lucy has it already in chat there. She put it in chat for you.
So efficient. Okay, great, terrific. Anyway, I want to describe something that I got on film. I'm not sure how great the quality is, but in the Manhattan skyline, there was this there was this pink pillow. This is, I'm going to describe it. You will be able to see what I'm describing. Yeah, I found it. It looked like a little pink pillow, not little, maybe like the size of a Volkswagen, and it was coming out of the clouds. And as it emerged from out, detached itself from whatever it was hiding behind, this black ball hits it in the middle of the sky. And the black ball keeps going, right? So this pink pillow starts to wobble a little bit, and then you'd expect it to fall down, but it floated up. So this is something not what you see in nature. You know what I mean? I think it was very much an unexplained something. And I just, yeah.
Well, let me ask you, is because everything that typically I then now that you're asking or you're telling the story, what I do is I put on the investigator hat and I start to sort of ask questions like a cop, and I tend to find out if there's anything and figure out what else is going on within that scene that you experience. So is it daytime or nighttime?
Oh, good question. Yeah, it was daytime, and it was maybe a storm threat, in the air, but I don't think there was much rain yet, but the sky was looking tumultuous, I could say. So
it was a cloudy day.
I'd say it was relatively. I have to actually look. I'm going to try to find a video. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's Mid-Air Collision, something like this. Hold on. I think I just subscribed to you. Yes, did I subscribe? Unsubscribe. So I'm subscribed. And let's see. So you'll have a new subscriber with a slightly different name than I'm telling you. I have my alter ego. Okay, let me see. I'm going to try. I don't know how you send somebody a...
You can describe it, because I can't tell right now. I can't watch the video, but if you tell me sort of, were you outside or were you inside when you saw this?
I was watching it from a camera from inside that was pointing at the sky. Let me find it. It's called Mid-Air Collision. Okay, it almost populated. Mid-Air. My eyes are getting so bad. Everything, it feels like I'm just getting so old so fast. I don't know.
We're all getting old.
It's terrible.
So you were indoors when you saw this, and you were filming it from indoors.
Oh, and one more thing I want to mention. I've often checked these webcams just in case I hear something, as just to check if New York is still okay, or if there's a fire somewhere. Sometimes today I smell something really horrible. But they took all the New York cameras that could have anybody look at New York City were taken offline and not in view for over 1 week. And I found that odd, because to be honest with you, there's so much activity. Oh wait, hold on. One more thing I want to mention about these videos. I taped them. Yeah, it was. No, you know what? The sky, it's a little weird to see, but it was a little bit overcast, with scattered clouds, but nothing threatening at that time. But this was something that was so strange. I'm going to just try to share it with you so you can watch it later. It's right in the beginning of it. The thing about these things is they come with their own audio. I don't hear most of the audio while I film it. It's only during playback. And often I try to use the CC closed caption, application to see what like text I could get or transcript. Even sometimes you have to translate it because they're speaking like a different language, like Portuguese or French or German. But I don't like what they're saying, like the people that are on my, like the same wavelength that are watching what I'm watching at the same time. If
You mean you're getting an interference as you're videotaping?
There's somebody else watching the same exact channel at the same time I am, or they're watching me watching the channel because their commentary is appropriate for what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm going to send it to Paranormal Review. I just sent you a whisper, I think.
Iris, can I ask you, do you watch these webcams on a regular basis, correct? Is there something in particular that you're looking for, or how did you get started doing this?
Well, you know, usually it's when I smell something or I get I don't know, I could say I get a feeling. It's pretty accurate because I'll always see something happening and it's always different. I can't describe it, but I don't have any reason to turn it on. I don't sit and watch it all day, you know what I'm saying? It's only when I hear a noise, like I've been hearing those explosions. I don't know if you've heard them. They kind of sound like sonic booms.
The strange sounds that people report.
Yeah. I've been hearing them for like 5 years, and I felt like, God, nobody hears them but me. Am I out of my mind? Most people think I am by now, But, suddenly everybody's hearing them. So, I've been validating.
So, Iris, are you getting some kind of like psychic warning, or do you feel like it's like maybe a psychic connection when something's happening that you tune into it?
I believe I'm sensitive. I've been told that by other people that are psychic. I didn't have any exposure to anything spiritual, so it's like almost I was deprived of anything in any spiritual way, including any organized religion. My parents were both atheists. So, but apparently I was a witch in another life, whatever, I'm skeptical, you could say, but I believe, there's nothing that I opened my eyes because of I have a lot of reasons why, but it's just like one thing led to another. I got sick 5 years ago, and then suddenly, it opened my eyes to a lot of other weird things occurring. I have a lot of I could see things. I could see. If you saw New York through my eyes, you'd move. Let's put it that way. But I'm trying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this video that you're describing to us, the one where you saw this, I believe. What feelings were you getting? I mean, what did you see? Did you think it was like a UFO? It
definitely looks odd. I mean, the black ball that you see hitting that pink thing, I never saw anything like the pink thing. Like, that was definitely, it looked like a spitting top before it came out of the cloud. And I don't know why it emerged from the cloud. There was more than one black thing trying to hit it. But that black whirling ball, I see like 10 an hour. If you wanted to stay on that site, you could. I'm sure if I turned on the archive today of that particular camera, you'll spot 10 in an hour. These are, I don't know what those are. They look like, to be honest, they look like meteorites or asteroids, but they seem to have there's a deliberation to them as far as they can turn, stop, hover. So I don't think they're asteroids. And I don't know why it hasn't hit any building because they fly very low to the skyline. It actually looks like they're going through the buildings as they pass through, But they're so close to our tops of our roofs.
Iris, do you think that maybe it is because New York City doesn't spend any money on anything? I live in New York City, so I know that for a fact. Do you think that maybe the cameras that they have? Because I've watched the traffic cams as well. I've watched those particularly during storms, and I did that during Sandy and all of that stuff. But do you think that this particular camera itself either there may be something wrong with it, either internally in the software or within the camera hardware itself, that creates this glare or these black dots. Maybe it's matrixing on the video that maybe create. Have you looked into that?
You'd have to see them to understand that they're so random that they're. Okay. I couldn't blame it on a technical glitch because I'm not looking for them. Oh, sorry, hold on. I'm trying to keep my mute button on. I'm not looking for them. I mean, they're just so random. I'm not looking at them at all. Sometimes I'm trying to see what's in the water. I've seen things in the water, in the buildings, on the rooftops, and in the air. I feel there's something going on. If I could, I've listened to like Linda Moulton Howe, who had these remote viewers ask her to, to do a project with them for those loud booms for an explanation. And they actually came up with one. They said they're not human, and they are in a different dimension as well as they are in battle. They're having a war, and they're having it here. I think there's a war. I mean, I felt they're correct because I've seen battles. I don't think they're visions. I just see what's going on,
Yeah.
They have a war every night. I mean, I could show you like even the way they're positioned, the way they look, even their dress codes. I've seen soldiers out there that are gigantic. I've seen I know this sounds crazy, so you can.
No, it doesn't sound. Believe me, Iris, I've heard a lot weirder and stranger tales than this that are even believable as well. So you're definitely not out there at all.
Right.
I do have a question though, because it is a lot of information, and it seems as though you're trying to for yourself trying to figure out what the heck, number one, what the heck it is, and number two, why is this happening? What do you do with that information? How do you formulate? How do you sort of compress all of this, and what do you do with it? Are you trying to figure out something for yourself, or do you think that you're trying to find a bigger answer, maybe globally or for the world?
I want to save the world, and I want an explanation, and I want the truth. I want to know who's doing what. Who's spraying us with chemtrails? Who's behind this? Who's behind that? What is their agenda? What is the agenda of things? I know I'm sick from something that somebody made in a lab, or somebody, I'm not sure where, but I know its genetic code was deciphered, and there's something in it that shows it's not 100% organic, which means it's somehow programmed. It's a crazy thing, but I want to know the truth, and that's pretty much, and I don't know how to get my information to the correct people. I've gotten one thing published that at night I have a lot of, on Facebook I have a slideshow. I have like 78 pictures of these rods. They're like light bulbs in the sky. Nobody told me what they were. Nobody said, oh, those are whatever. They don't even move barely. They just, sometimes they're stuck in like a building. Sometimes they're like dull cigars. Sometimes they look like a ladder, like there's 3 of them in a row. They're very brilliant when they're like souped up or energized, but they don't move very fast. And
have you ever tried to supply it and send into MUFON?
Well, MUFON, they took one, and they did post one. They don't take YouTube videos, I realize. They don't I don't know if they look at them, but they won't post them, I think they want sort of the true or original video. I don't have anything but that. They were filmed.
Right.
I used something else. I used the EarthCam and a program called like Screencastify.
Right.
And I'll use that to take pictures as well. You can post to Twitter, post to whatever, and then you can download them if you want. But I don't have enough room on my computer to download full. These things would take up so much memory, it'd probably crash my computer. If I downloaded, a full-length video. I mean, they're 10 minutes, and then I try to cut them down to something short and interesting, hopefully. I'm not very talented, so it's just I want to know what they are. I would love to know that there is an explanation, and I don't have to be afraid of what they are. They haven't hurt us yet, so I have become calmer, But
well,
Iris, I think you have a lot of the questions that other people have.
Lucy, I just wanted to say something. Because I wanted to make a point to what you were saying, Iris, about them creating this war and being afraid and all of that. And so, somebody had said to me that there are UFOs and there are aliens, and I have heard many people in the highest ranking levels, even within the government and Air Force, that have mentioned to both Lucy and I that there are aliens and there are UFOs that are on this planet, and they have landed here and they have interacted. And so, if there were any hostile extraterrestrials, that it would be happening, or it would have happened already. I don't think that if my true belief is that if there are hostile ETs out there, that they wouldn't wait to conquer us. They have much more vast technology than we do, that they don't need to be conniving and sort of hide out in the bushes and wait for the right moment. They don't need to do that. They just pounce on us right away. So I don't know if they all are hostile. It may seem that way towards us, and I think that it may be conceived and perceived differently because we make it that way, because it's not sort of our culture or the way that we do things. And so I don't know. I just think that if they were, they would have done it already, I think. So I don't know if there's anything to be afraid of.
Well, I think they are doing it because our weather has become something that is modified, and I find it very deliberate. The weather.
I personally think that that's us doing that to the weather.
Oh, we doing this? I want to know the truth about that.
Right.
I've seen clouds exchange torpedo-sized, black things, in cloaking, that you could spot if you use some sort of, tint or something, or an edge detection.
Right.
I see them. I don't need that. I could see them without making a tint. I just want it to be visible for anybody else that's seeing what I'm seeing.
Right.
So I wonder and I also feel that they're responsible for a lot of the catastrophic fires, train crashes, and plane missings. There's some connection there too. I know they could probably, if we're in their airspace, they could just zap us down like in a heartbeat. They definitely have that technology, I've heard. Not that I know anything, but there's something that tells me that there's something malicious. Maybe.
Well, you know what, Iris? Those are a lot of the questions that we have, and thank you so much for calling in. I mean, it sounds like something that we might, that needs a little bit more investigation, and you know what? You've got the juices flowing here. I think I'm going to do a little bit of research, and let's see what we come up. But thank you so much for sharing.
I'll be
I'm gonna watch those videos, Iris. I'm gonna check those out.
If they haven't a title, I bother to put one there. If they say Untitled, don't watch it. Or copy of Untitled, don't watch it. If they have an actual title, then I might have found them worthwhile to watch. So don't try to. Don't try to.
We'll take a look and we'll comment.
All right, that's great. I'm looking forward to seeing yours as well. Thank you so much for listening to me. And if you have any information or know what any of things are, please just comment. Tell me what they are.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Iris.
awesome. Thanks for having your show. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Iris.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I personally think we're the ones that are causing the havoc in the weather.
Well, I agree with you on that. And you know what? That's really weird because while she's talking, one of the things that I was looking at, one of the stories that I found was 11 celebrities that had UFO encounters or seen UFOs. And one of the stories is from Dan Aykroyd. And there's a story about him one night, he said at 3 in the morning, he had this sudden urge to go outside. And when he went outside, and he's not the only one. I guess afterwards it was reported that other people all over upstate New York, Quebec, and Vermont, they had this intense urge to go outside at 3 in the morning. And when they went outside, they saw this massive pink spiral in the sky. And from the middle of the spiral is supposedly like this blue light that's coming down. So I started looking up stuff, and there's this thing called the Norway incident. It's the Norway spiral, and it happened back in 2009. And there's actually a video on YouTube where you actually see this spiral in the sky, and it doesn't look like a cloud. It doesn't look like, it's just really freaky. Now, according to the reports, Russia claimed responsibility for that. They said the light and the spiral were caused by a failed missile launch. People had no idea what it is. The actual film, the video is online. If you type in Norway spiral incident, you will see it. And it's really freaky. I mean, it doesn't fit the description of your typical UFO sighting, but it's this big, massive spiral in the sky. And it kind of just keeps going circular, and then eventually it goes into like this big black dot, which is really weird because you're looking at the night sky, and then when it eventually disappears, then you actually see the street lights underneath. So, I don't know, maybe this is something along the lines of what Iris has seen, but to this day, no one really knows exactly what it is. People question whether or not it was actually a rocket, the failed rocket testing, but that was really weird that she mentioned something like that, and I happened to find that. And according to this site, Aykroyd wasn't the only one that had this urge. It was just something like, I have to go outside, I have to look. And when they went out, his spiral was pink. The one in Norway was white, but the descriptions are basically the same thing. I haven't found any other reports about anything like it except for these two incidents. So I'm curious to see if anybody has found or seen anything like this.
Well, when Iris did mention pink, the color pink, I've always heard reports, and the debunkers when they talk about it, with these pink lights in the sky, and I've seen videos that have been debunked, and I know are not true and have been hoaxed, of these glowing lights that hover over cornfields and create the crop circles. But then I've also seen videos that have not been debunked yet of pink lights or pink orbs in the sky. And many of the debunkers have said, and some scientists have then added in as well, that the color pink has been created because it's sort of an electrified or magnetized gas in the air, and that's what creates that pink color. And so, I can't remember where I've seen this. I don't know if it was on television or if it was on something online, but I remember somebody doing a testing of this and recreated a gaseous environment, and then, not that kind of gaseous environment, but a gas sort of plume or bubble, and electrified it or magnetized it somehow, and created this sort of pink illumination, and said to the fact that basically that's what we're seeing in the sky, that's why we're seeing this pink thing. And so it kind of interested me, so that when she mentioned pink, and so I'm thinking, could this be a natural occurrence? Would that have been something because the air, and that's why I asked the question, was this night and day, and then I was going to get into whether it was stormy or if it was a clear day. And she did mention it was cloudy, overcast, it was a pending storm, that possibly that the air was electrified, if it was becoming a storm, that created this. And maybe it may have been a coupling effect with this pink gas that was electrified, as well as matrixing of the camera of some sort. You know me, I look at all different angles. I try and debunk first and see whether or not there's something else that could have naturally created this. And if it doesn't make sense, then I can say, okay, maybe it could be something that's paranormal. But if she's seeing this every day, and I'm curious to see if it happens if she sees pink on days where there's no pending storm. I'm curious to see what this video is, and if it is a webcam that everybody can go on, I'm actually curious to then log on to it and see what I see, and I'll interpret it. Maybe I'll give a follow-up to everybody. If they're interested, I can do a follow-up on our Facebook page and let everybody know. And I'll let everybody know once I find out what that is, and that video and all that stuff. But it's interesting. It's very different, and I've never heard of that in New York. It's the first time I've heard about that.
Well, the similarities is curious too. That she says that she gets like these I guess psychic impressions, to look, and that's the main thing in the story about Dan Aykroyd, saying that he had this sense that he needed to go outside and look at the sky. And supposedly other people who saw the same thing had gotten the same kind of psychic push to go outside and look. So that connection is interesting to me. Is it something, if there are extraterrestrials, can they actually kind of put that suggestion? Can they mentally, telepathically tell us, hey, we're here, take a look? So that's kind of interesting and a little bit scary to me.
Well, I've also heard, too, that aliens and spirits can communicate on the same level. Again, I'm not an expert. I don't know this to be truth. I'm not on that realm or within that dimension to say it for fact, so I don't know. But I've heard people talk about that they can communicate on that same level because they are in another dimension, and when we die, our spirit and our soul, whatever you want to call it, goes to other dimensions. And these aliens are also within the realm of these other dimensions and can travel within these other dimensions as well. And the communication can be done the same way. So the same way that spirits can interact with us when we go out and investigate, do EVPs, the same can be done with aliens as well. So that sort of can validate what Iris was talking about, that there can be this interference, these conversations maybe that can be happening, or this recording possibly of these voices and so on and so forth. But I did want, this sort of leads into one of the bigger topics that I wanted to talk about tonight. And again, I did want to say thank you to Iris. Thank you so much for calling in. A lot of people, as Brian had mentioned in chat, it is very courageous for someone like Iris to call in and talk about that. So I do want to commend her for calling in and letting us know that story and telling us all about that and what she thinks and what she's doing. So I commend her for that. So if you guys want to call, if you're listening and you want to call in live, the number is 661-244-9831. Just make sure you press the number 1 so that we know that you want to call in and talk to us. But this talk about UFOs and aliens leads me to the whole story and the whole hoopla that I'm sure everyone who is within the paranormal field knows about, that happened back on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, of the Roswell slides, the Kodachrome slides. So the story is, and if you are not familiar with this, there were these Kodachrome slides that were taken back in 1947 by a couple, and I can't remember their name for the life of me. And I have the article in front of me, and I don't have their name. Poo-poo on me. So these pictures were taken in 1947, and it was this elite couple that had money, and they traveled around the world, and they had these pictures on Kodachrome slides. That's basically what they had used at the time for their picture taking. And they had glorious pictures of presidents and artifacts from Germany. Lucy, go ahead.
It's Bernard and Hilda Ray.
Correct.
The well-connected couple.
Yes. So they were a very wealthy couple, and they had taken tons of pictures. and they were stored away forever. And they were, I believe, about to be either donated or thrown away, and somebody had found them. And after they looked through these Kodachrome slides, they noticed two particular slides. One looked like an alien photo, and I can't remember what the other one looked like, but the other one is not so much in the news. It's the one that looked like the alien. And it was brought to the attention of many of the elite and many of the higher levels within ufology, and specifically Donald Schmitt, Tom Carey, and Jamie Maussan. And these folks have been in the UFO field forever, have great credentials, I believe still do. I don't think that this has hurt them, but what they had done was, for 2 years prior to May 5th of this year, for 2 years had undergone and went through the gamut of testing of these slides. One, to see if they were legitimate Kodachrome slides from 1947, and they were. They wanted to see if the pictures were manipulated in any way at all, if they were not photoshopped, but if they were overlaid or anything like that, and they were not. So they were actual original photos, pictures, slides. So they've established that. And then what they did was to try and figure out, with the best of the best within the UFO world, if they thought that this picture of this alien was actually an alien. And if you can Google, if you want to Google, all you got to do is Google Kodachrome slides, and you should be able to see a picture of this thing. And it looks like a baby alien, basically, lying down, and then there is this white slip of paper right next to it. And the white slip of paper is sort of blurred out because I guess the photo was not sharp when it was taken. And what they tried to do, and they claimed what they tried to do, these big guys in the UFO world, was to try and de-blur this white slip of paper to see what it said, and they claimed that they could not. And so they couldn't figure out what was written, so what they did was then try and focus on the body itself. And what they did was then run it through the test, run it through 3D programming, ran it through whatever kind of testing that they could, obviously because they didn't have a physical body. So they did it with the photo testing to figure out. And what they came to was the conclusion that it was they said that it was an alien body. And they then figured, okay, let's unveil this to the world. And they went down to Mexico City. They spent uber amount of money holding it in this huge complex, spent thousands and thousands of dollars, called out thousands of press folks. They asked people to spend $20 to have it streamed, and you can watch it online, and you would have to spend $20 to watch this unveiling of this whole thing. And they showed this to the world. Richard Dolan was there as well. I'm sure you guys know the name Richard Dolan, who I admire, and a lot of other folks in the industry. And they all talked about this, saying that it looks like an alien, it smells like an alien, it must be an alien. And 3 days later, you know, the college kids and the folks who are, the whiz at computers took this photo of the slide and ran it through a deblurring software system. And within 3 days, found out what that card said, what that white slip of paper said. And the white slip of paper said was that it was a mummified baby, a mummified 2-year-old. And so within 3 days, not spending a dime at all, you know, these group of people who figured it out and not wasted any time or money realized that this was nothing other than that this couple went to a museum and took a photo of a mummified 2-year-old I think it was a boy, a 2-year-old boy, and this whole hoopla of an alien is now thrown away and tossed away. But it leaves the idea of, and puts it in people's heads, whether or not, there's Donald Schmidt and Tom Carey and Jamie Maussan, whether or not their credentials are still or should be still intact, because they spent 2 years trying to figure out and ran it through. What they had to do was actually travel with this slide because it was so valuable to them, and they insured it with so much money that they actually physically had to travel with this slide from country to country. They went to Canada, Mexico, and they went to Europe to the best of experts to try and figure out whether or not this was an alien. And they claimed to have gone to the best of the best, and these best of the best said that it was, but yet these, home computer whiz geniuses figured it out within 3 days. I think it's laughable and it's very funny. My personal opinion is I'm not understanding why they needed to go through this whole hoopla of a huge press event, spend all of this money, expect us, the people who are interested in this, to spend $20 to watch something streamed. I understand things cost money and they wanted to recoup it, but I don't understand why they needed to go through all of that in the first place. I think they didn't speak to the right people. I don't think their heads were screwed on correctly. I just think that people within the UFO world need to step back a bit and relook at how they are investigating, what they're investigating, before they move forward. That's just my opinion.
Well, it seems to be a case of wanting to see something, which we see in the paranormal, of wanting to see something so bad that you're taking what you're seeing and you're making it into what you hope it is. Because I have here, there was a principal investigator named Tony Braglia who analyzed them, and he said that the dead alien was actually a Native American child who lived in the abandoned city of Mesa Verde. And he calls it a serious case of mistaken identity rather than a hoax. So these people...
Right, and I don't think it was a hoax, and people are calling it a pathetic hoax. Which
no.
I don't think I don't think Jamie and Tom and Donald, those folks who put this on, I don't think they were trying to hoax people. I just think it was a huge, costly mistake that they made and a waste of time. But I think they weren't spending their energy and their time and their money correctly. I don't think their heads were right, and I think that they need to step back and figure out how they are conducting their business before they move forward. Because if they are going to the quote-unquote experts that they have been going to and that they think are experts, then they need to reevaluate who they're going to and how do they vet these people? How do they vet these scientists, these so-called scientists that are saying, or these experts, so-called experts, that were working on this project? They need to then step back and say, well, wait a minute, now we need to reevaluate why should we be going to these people now because of what happened. I understand people make mistakes completely. Everybody is not perfect. I understand that completely. But you're an expert because you do a basis of an analysis. There are things and protocols that are put in place, and there are testing and experiments that happen. And so if the testing and experiments that happened led you to believe this to be one thing which was not, then there's something wrong with that. And your evaluation of that needs to be rechecked. And so therefore, the whole system needs to be redone. That's why I'm saying people just need to step back a minute and realize, okay, wait a minute, what are we doing and how are we doing this? Things need to be redone. We need to look at this at a whole new light, because maybe the way that we've been conducting things are wrong.
Well, until we get full disclosure from the powers that be, the ones that actually have,
full disclosure?
Well, it's never going to come, but until we get more disclosure, you're going to have people that are constantly theorizing and saying, well, this is this, and then one person's opinion all of a sudden becomes, oh, yeah, this is an alien, where I think there's so much out there and there's so much that we don't know. Same thing with the paranormal, that it's hard to get the true answer, and this is a perfect example. You've got a slide of what, if you didn't know what a mummified body looks like, sure, you could say, oh, it's an alien, but the very fact that that card is in the picture and it's blurred out, and nobody could figure out what was on that card, how is it, like you said, those college students or whoever could clear that up, and it says right there exactly what it is. It's a mummified body of a boy.
Within 3 days, they figured that out, and I think within a week, they actually found a photo of that body, another photo of that body from the museum where it was being held. And so it just boggles my mind that, 2 years of exhaustive work and money and time and energy, that I have no idea what they were doing and how they were doing it. And so I'm not saying anything bad about their credibility. I think, and again, people make mistakes. There are things that we do wrong. I get it. I do things that are wrong. But I think what this should teach them, and what should teach everyone, even within all facets of the paranormal, is that if there's a mistake that's done and you realize it, step back a minute and just evaluate and objectively see how things were conducted and how things were done. And if this didn't work out correctly, where is the missing link in this all? Go back to that missing link and figure out, well, what made me first go to that? How was it being processed? What were the experiments being done? What was used? Why was it evaluated that way? Why was it evaluated that way? And figure out. And therefore, hopefully then you make and you build this field a little bit stronger, so that our credibility, because in essence what this has done is sort of brought the entire community back. People are laughing not only at ufologists, but they're laughing at the paranormal community in general, saying, look at these idiots. They spent all this money and they did all of this, and it's a mummy. These stupid idiots, they hoaxed it. That's what they're saying. And so, it's sort of like the running joke within the paranormal now, within all facets, within spirits and Bigfoot and everything else. It's like, oh, is that a Kodachrome? Is that a Kodachrome? It's the running joke now.
Well, the thing that kind of bothers me about the whole thing is the fact that you're charging people $20 to see this. I mean, it just kind of takes the whole thing back to the circus days and the freak show. I mean, you're paying $20 to see a mummy, and that's the only part that kind of bothers me. You have a discovery, go ahead, put it out there. Put it out there for the sake of learning. The charging $20 a piece, I understand people have costs and they need to make money somehow to put this out there. But the fact that you charge people $20 to see this picture, that kind of boggles my mind.
I had heard that it wasn't so much to recoup the expenses for the actual research done on it. It was to recoup the money to pay for housing of this press event down in Mexico. And because they had contracted this venue down in Mexico that was the most expensive place that you could ever do anything in, they had to recoup that money. Now, it doesn't make sense. To me, everybody had questioned, well, why did you do it down there? Why did you have to do it there? And they said that they didn't want to do it in the States because they figured they weren't going to get the press that they were going to get, and they would have been ridiculed and everything else. I mean, meanwhile, they're ridiculed afterwards. But anyway, they went down there, and so they had to get the best of it. They could have went into the closet, into somebody's apartment, and sat in the closet and did a live stream on YouTube and done this for free, and not had to worry about anything. And press could have been done, and it could have been done that way. And I understand why they had to recoup it, and they're saying that they didn't make a dime off of this thing. Now, I'm not sure about that, because if you're doing this for 2 years and you're living off of nothing, I'm not sure about that whole thing, but I can't prove that. In any case, everything that happened for this entire process and this entire exhibit and this press event, everything was done completely wrong. And I think everyone just needs to step back and look and evaluate what they were doing and how they were doing it. I hope this doesn't affect their credibility, because Jamie Maussan is a credible ufologist who has, many credits to his name, and there have been other things that he has accomplished that I think hopefully this won't deter from, and will hopefully not stop him or impede him from moving forward in other hopeful accomplishments. But I think what they need to realize and what people need to realize is that there are mistakes that are done, and they need to reevaluate themselves. That's all.
It just, like I said, this goes to, for me, it goes to the fact that I always have a sense of like, whenever I see someone charging to either see something or to experience something, I have that little sense, because there's been so many frauds or things that just haven't turned out to be what they are. And when it comes to charging somebody to see something, that just kind of raises a red flag for me. I mean, if it's truly something, if it's truly a discovery, by placing it, there's so many ways to do it. YouTube, social media. You can, if it's something that's true, you're going to get the exposure. Someone is going to look at it, and they're going to share it. I just have this feeling against charging money for things. It just really,
Well, it's not the first time people charge for something like this.
No, it's not.
And it's not just the paranormal field; it's other things. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not unheard of for this to happen. I'm not, barking on the whole idea of the charging of it, but I think it's just, it's funny how they do all of this charge, and then 3 days later, somebody, on a computer figures it out in 2 seconds. It's hilarious. It's
a really sad mistake. That's basically what it is.
Have you seen the photo of the alien? Did you see the photo of it?
I'm looking at it right now. Right now.
If you look at it, would you honestly say that would you think that is an alien?
No.
With your little expertise in it all?
No, I don't really have that much expertise in UFOs, but I have an interest in Egypt. I have an interest in mummies. I have an interest. I've seen pictures of, mummified bodies, and that's what it looks like to me. It looks the same. I can go to the Field Museum, and there is a mummy of a child, which is in their exhibit, and this looks almost exactly the same. So, I mean, my first thought is, no, that's not an alien. If I didn't see the whole article around it and I just saw the picture, I mean, my first instinct, from what I've seen, it looks like a mummy.
Well, here's my thought, too. The Kodachrome slide of this alien seems to be as though it's in a glass case, and there's a mirror backing of it, and it's on a glass shelf. It seems to be in an open area because you can see the reflection of the woman, and I'm assuming that the husband is the one that took the picture. It seems to be that it's in a museum. It seems to be that it's in some public space. It's not hidden in a back room, in a darkly lit back room, that's hidden away where this photo was taken. And so it just begs me to see, and there's also another item that's actually next to it. Again, it just looks like a museum piece. Now, the question should arise is, I have never heard of an alien body being preserved and put out in a museum somewhere for all the world to see, and nobody's heard about this, but yet a picture's been taken of it. So right off the bat, without any testing, it just doesn't seem to be the likelihood of this being something alien. It screams museum to me, and I'm not sure if that ever ran through their minds when they were experimenting with this and testing this. But to me, this just does not look like something that is what you would think would be of somebody seeing an alien and taking a photo of it.
It looks like somebody's vacation picture.
Well, that's what it was.
It looks like they probably went to a museum somewhere, they took a picture, and this got stuck somewhere. Somebody found it years later, and it's like, oh, wow, look, we've got an alien. It was probably just one of their vacation pictures, and that's sad. That's really sad.
Yeah. And that's what all the other slides were. I think there was like, I don't know, I'm making it up, but there was a lot of slides. It's like 200 or something. There were a lot of slides, and they were basically all of their vacation photos from around the world, including, you know, some photos of presidents that they must have come in contact with when they were traveling around the country. So it just, you know, it just seemed odd to begin with that there were two photos of something alien in there.
Mhm.
It didn't make sense.
Well, that kind of leads me to like the first story that I had looked at, okay? And actually, I don't know, everybody's kind of like, if you've been looking at social media, if you've been looking at things, September of 2015 seems to be something, conspiracy theorists seem to think that something is going to happen in September, okay? Some kind of doomsday claim. And this isn't the first time that we've heard, you know, the end of the world is coming or something is going to happen. But the article that I found was posted on June 8th, and it's NASA debunking the September doomsday claims. Supposedly, there is supposed to be some kind of meteor or something that's going to hit the Earth, a comet, something that's on a collision course with Earth. And it's supposed to hit, and it's supposed to make everything, you know, just end life as we know it, okay? So NASA released this saying that astronomers have been quick to point out that no such comet actually exists. They don't know of any comet that's on a collision course with Earth. So the probability of a major collision is quite small. In fact, as best as we can tell, no large object is likely to strike the Earth at any time in the next several hundred years. Now, people say that this is supposed to happen on September 24th, and the impact will be a signal to the Illuminati to implement their socialist world government agenda. A lot of the conspiracy theorists say that military exercises are happening, you know, as part of the Illuminati preparation for the New World Order. The governments of leading nations are aware of this, and they're keeping the information from us. So NASA came forward and said this. Now, whether or not this is a cover from NASA saying nothing's going to happen, I don't know. We'll just have to wait till September 24th. But what I found that was interesting, too, there was a YouTube video posted by a conspiracy theorist in the Netherlands, and his video got over 1 million hits. He claimed back on May 28th that the planetary alignment of the stars, of the planets, was going to cause a geological disturbance that would be sufficient enough to cause a massive 9.8 earthquake at 4 p.m. on the West Coast. I mean, he had gotten it. It's going to happen at 4 p.m. on that day. Well, nothing happened that day. Nothing. I mean, there was a couple small tremors, but lately, I mean, there have been tremors all over. There's been, you know, minor earthquakes. And actually, there was an earthquake that weekend, but it was on film. The Rock's new disaster movie called San Andreas opened that weekend. So my question, why is it that belief in spirits, belief in angels, people question that so much? They're looking for science to prove it, okay? Without science to prove this, you know, ghosts don't exist or spirits don't exist, angels don't exist. But we accept, a lot of people seem to accept these world predictions from the conspiracy theorists, like comets coming out of the world, you know, out of nowhere to hit the Earth, or the planets aligning and making the ground shake. Why do we accept things like that? And we don't accept spirits? Why is it that science has to prove that there's ghosts and spirits, but yet some people are so easily ready to accept that, oh, comet's coming and the end of the world's going to happen?
Okay, before I comment, I just want to say that I'm sure people don't want to hear us talking all night, so I'm going to say again, phone lines are open if you guys want to call in and share with us your stories or your experiences. The number is 661-244-9831. Just make sure you press the number 1 when you dial in to call in and speak to us. Okay, so to answer your question, I'm not sure I understand your question, because you're mentioning about scientists having to explain ghosts but not having to explain the end of the world, and why it's more believable for people to believe the end of the world than it is for ghosts. I think
right.
I think they're one and the same. I think there's more focus and more public notice on the end times and the end of the world and the coming of the end, because it's more personal with that side of things. It affects everyone, whereas spirits and ghosts are something that, yes, it's personal, but it doesn't have a global effect on things. There's no worldly exponential effect that happens when a spirit comes down and speaks. If a comet comes down and speaks, we're all dead or whatever, then it affects everyone. So I think that's why you see more notice. That's why you see more videos. That's why you see more conspiracy theories come out, and folks start to proclaim more things or comment more things, because it's more global, it's more worldly. Do you want to hear my opinion on it?
Yes.
Well, you know my opinion.
I know your opinion.
I honestly, I don't know why. And, you talked about the gentleman from the Netherlands about May 28th. And I had been following him ever since the end of April, beginning of May, when he started to talk about this whole thing. And at first I thought he was set up for the San Andreas movie that was to come out. And I had looked at his history in his archives, and he was way before it. So I understood that he wasn't in on this marketing ploy. If it was a marketing ploy, it was not a marketing ploy. And he is not a part of the movie. What he is, first of all, he's not a scientist. I think he's even a plumber by day. I think he is a plumber by day. He's a housing janitor or something like that. But what he did was he actually was just like you and I, going through things and doing our own research and investigating. He kind of figured out the history of when earthquakes happen, what is the astronomy of things, and how are the planets aligned, and does that have any effect on it? And he started to do some research, and there's the software that he found that actually shows the planet alignments on every single date. I'm not even sure how far back it goes. And he pulled it up, and he showed how the planets were aligned, and when they're exactly in certain alignments, specifically Mercury and Venus and all that other stuff, that there were earthquakes that happened. And so when he figured May 28th, he plotted that in, he saw 3 or 4 different major alignments that seemed to be as though, wow, if alignments happened at the same course of earthquakes on Earth before, and we've got now multiple alignments on this one day, then there must be this huge earthquake. And I was believing him. I was thinking that something was going to happen. Obviously, nothing did happen. And he was claiming, and he still claims to this day, that the earthquakes did happen, but because of the magnetization of the Earth and the poles and everything else, that it was deflected, or if it may have been deflected, it didn't have enough pull to create anything. And so it's not a foolproof scenario where if it is aligned, then it happens, so on and so forth. Anyway, it didn't happen. But with this whole September thing, September 2015, I have heard, I can't even tell you how many people have been talking about September 2015 as either being the end of the world or a major shift in, or a major awakening in our lives. And, you know, I've heard many things that can happen. Obviously, you talked about the comets and asteroids happening. I've heard that as well. And specifically, I don't want to scare people, but I've heard specifically that a comet or an asteroid is supposed to hit Earth 20 miles off of Brazil in the Atlantic Ocean. And once it hits, it's supposed to create tsunamis all along the eastern coast of the U.S., pretty much destroy Brazil and cause tsunamis all over Europe and Greenland and everywhere else. 2.5 million people are supposed to die, or estimated supposed to die, because of this. People are talking about that and have been for a while saying this. Now, what I say to that is, and you talked about NASA debunking it, if you remember not too long ago, we did have a near miss of a comet. And if you remember the story, it came out of the blue. It was a day before we were supposed to have this near miss that it came on the news that said, tomorrow there's going to be a near miss of an asteroid supposed to be 40,000 miles above Earth or something like that. It's the closest that an asteroid has ever come to contact with Earth, in between the Earth and the Moon. And so the notice came the day before it actually was supposed to happen. My question to you is, you know, with all of the government conspiracy stories that we've talked about and everything that we've known and that we know that is of secrecy within the world, I personally don't think that NASA or anyone else is going to tell the entire world right now that there is a comet or an asteroid, if there is, that an asteroid or a comet is coming in September or within 5 or 6 months, whatever it is. I honestly don't think that they will do that. Because what will happen is you will create pandemic. You will create panic and chaos. You will create, if you think what is going on in the world right now is the worst that you've ever seen in 50 years, try tripling that or quadrupling that. There will be no laws. There will be mass killings. There will be looting up the wazoo. It would be as if you were on your own. You would literally have to go into a bunker starting now, let alone waiting for the comet to come and saving your family right before it happens. You'd have to go into a bunker now to save your life, honestly, because the mindset of people right now is they don't give a shit about anybody else but themselves, and so therefore they're going to do whatever they can to save their lives. And if that means stealing and killing and getting whatever they want to save themselves, that's what they're going to do. They'll go right next door to the neighbor and kill them to get whatever they can, to get in their car, drive somewhere else, to get something else, to kill somebody else, to get something else, to do whatever they can so they can get ready for this coming of this comet. That's what I personally think. So to me, this whole NASA debunking thing is BS. If it is fact, which I'm not sure, and I don't think it is. I'm not too sure. There are a whole bunch of other things that I've heard people talk about, too, that could possibly happen in September. Again, people have been talking about this whole within the Jewish religion, and I don't know specifically. You guys will have to do some research on it. I did read about it, but I can't remember at this moment right now. Within the Jewish religion, there's some sort of beginning and ending or something at that time in September. And there's a lunar eclipse that's supposed to happen on September 28th. And so when that happens, I believe in the Holy Book, something is supposed to happen. And so folks are talking about that as well, and they're calling it the red moon, and it's the fourth red moon, or the lunar eclipse, whatever. And so it's supposed to be the coming and the trumpets and Catholic religion and all this other stuff. But I've heard also too that that very well could be a possible total U.S. financial collapse. That the financial institution that we know today will not be the same come September. And if you thought 2007, 2008 collapse was bad, this is going to be, again, quadruple that. I've also heard that CERN, if you all know the Hadron Collider that is in, oh God, I can't remember now. Is it Switzerland? Geneva? The Hadron Collider.
Switzerland.
Wherever the hell it is. The thing that's supposed to be making the atoms and, crashing them in together and creating this energy, and people are even talking about they're opening up a portal and hopefully creating another dimension or opening up a dimension. Personally, I think that whole thing with this Hadron Collider is completely dangerous. I don't even know that they completely understand what they're doing. And so folks are saying that come September that there's supposed to be this other project that they are, I don't know if it's a culmination to or if it's a beginning of one of their projects at the Hadron Collider. And what possibly they could be doing is actually creating a destruction, that whatever they're doing, whatever they are colliding against, if it's, I think it's the smallest particle. Again, I'm not a scientist and I don't know the science of it all. If it's the ion, a particle, or whatever it is that they're going to be smashing together, it is supposed to create a destructive force that could hugely impact and create a huge destruction on Earth itself. And so people are talking about that. I've also heard people talking about pole shifting. And I've just noticed a video just this week I was watching that somebody showed that from, I want to say maybe 10 years ago, the poles have been slightly shifting, and they actually showed it. I don't know how true it is. I haven't done my research on it, but they've showed that they're actually shifting, I don't know if it's feet or miles or something like that, but they've been shifting for the past 10 years, and there's supposed to be a complete pole shifting. So when a pole shifts, obviously the rotation and everything else changes, where the sun sets and rises is going to be completely different. And so that's going to change how we cultivate in cultures, and everything, and the weather will completely change. How that devastates us, I don't know. Within that factor then could create a disruptive motion within underground with volcanoes and earthquakes. And people are talking about then possibly the San Andreas Fault cracking and creating a huge earthquake on that side on the West Coast, but also talking about the East Coast and New York basically going into the ocean. So I better get my scuba diving gear on now. And so basically the West Coast and the East Coast will be completely different. So those are the scenarios that I have heard and that I've seen on all over the Internet. And I don't know if it is, again, the conspiracy theories just going through the gamut of all of this, and that's the energy that I'm feeling. But for some reason, I personally feel that something is going to happen in September. I don't think it's going to be something completely destructive. I think that there is going to be a huge change. When people talked about, 2012, that there was supposed to be the end of this world and all this other stuff, and we had shows on it, if you look back, there has been a difference since 2012. The world has gotten bad. It's gotten worse since 2012. I've felt an energy shift. I've seen an energy shift in a lot of things since 2012, since December of 2012. And so I think that's the same thing with September of this year. I don't know if it's going to be on the rise or on the downfall, but I can feel that there's a breakaway. And I think it may be that if we have not awakened yet, that it's sort of like the survival of the fittest. If we have not awakened yet, and if we have not healed ourselves, that we will not survive. that those that are within the lower realm within Earth, if that's a good metaphor for it, will not survive. It's only the ones that have awakened, who have been enlightened, will survive, or will continue. That's sort of what I'm feeling because of the energy that's going around. I don't know, and I can't base it on fact of anything, but I just feel as though something in September is going to make a change.
Well, okay. 2012, if you go back to the end of the world and all of the theories that they had, and also, too, like spiritually, 2012 is supposed to be the awakening, beginning the age of Aquarius, learning things. My theory on this whole thing is that in September, okay, may be a high point in awakening. I tend to think it's more spiritual. I tend to think it's more energy-like. I'm not feeling anything like, a comet or a collision or anything like that. I am feeling that people are becoming more aware of who they are, what our purpose is. Along those lines, though, I'm feeling that when the awakening comes to the way you should be, the negative energy, whether it's conscious or not, is going to push back. It's going to push back against it. When something has a hold on something, be it negative, it's not going to want to let go. I think maybe September may end up being a point where mankind becomes much more awakened, much more aware of where we should be and where we should be going. I also believe that there's going to be some kind of pushback. People that want to maintain the way they are, the way they live, the way they think. It's going to end up being, new awareness against the old reality. And I think that's what's coming. I think it's been building up to that because, as you said, the world is definitely not in a good state. Things seem to be getting worse. But I also think it's because people are becoming more aware. All of a sudden, it's kind of like waking up out of the matrix. We've been living like this. These things have been happening. Wait, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. And the more people become aware of it, the more people think and become one with the energy that's supposed to be there, I think that's what's coming. I think that is the change. I think the shift in everything is towards the awakening. And I do agree with you, though, that the people that aren't aware are really going to fall by the wayside. It's a time to open up your mind. It's a time to open up your energy. It's a time to bloom and become what you really should be. I think the world, I think humankind has lived in this bubble where it's just been me, 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 me. And I don't think that's how it's supposed to be. And I think this change is coming. I really do. And Sharon just put it in there. I refuse to live my life in fear for waiting for the worst. I agree with that. I feel that my purpose here is to learn and to become aware. And if I keep hanging on to, the worst is going to happen, then it is. I mean, we manifest what we think and say. And if we keep saying, bad is coming, the end is coming, it's going to come because we're opening ourselves up to that kind of energy. I think inherently man is good, but we don't always act it. We don't always do the best. And I think that's what's coming. I think September will be a high point. I think a lot of people are going to finally open up their eyes because they've been looking at what is in front of them, and it's not exactly reality. I think reality might really make itself known around September.
I think the opposite of what you just said. I think what is, when I was talking about December of 2012, and, we've gone down this winding downward road just think about all of the things that have been happening since 2012. Not to say that there is nothing that has happened before that. Obviously, there have been catastrophes and bad things and negative things before that. But I think in the time span, within 3 years, just look at all of the things that have gone on in this world, all of the things that have happened to people, whether natural or man-made. Look at everything that has happened. I think what we have created, and I think it's all of us as well, what we have created is this completely hostile, negative energy bubble that is about to burst. And that's how I'm envisioning it. And September, I think, is when this bubble is going to just burst. And that's what I'm talking about as this sort of survival of the fittest. If you have not awakened, then you're not true to yourself and understand the power within you, that you will not be able to withstand the truth that is about to just pop open and spill all over you. I just think that this world in general, yes, it does have a heart. I think we have lost sight of how to gain any kind of strength to move forward, to realize what is right and wrong. I think there, and I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but I think there needs to be something where people, again, this goes back to what I was saying before about ufology and the whole Kodachrome. We need to step back and realize what we're doing objectively, to ourselves, to Mother Nature, to our ancestors, to the spirits, to everyone. We need to step back and realize what we're doing and how we're doing it, and understand that what we've been doing is completely wrong. What we're doing is destroying ourselves and destroying the land that we walk on. And so I think this bubble that's going to burst is going to force people to awaken. And whether it be an asteroid, whether it be CERN or financial collapse or whatever it is, it's going to be something that could possibly seem horrible, but I think it's sort of in some sort of innate way a way to refocus us. There's no way for anyone to press a button and for the entire world to just stop, take 2 steps back, breathe, and say, okay, let's look at this. That's never going to happen. There has to be something that makes people wake up. You know, sadly, when 9/11 happened, I think it happened. I think a lot of people started to reevaluate their values. People seen it all over in the news that everybody started to flock towards the churches. Not that I'm saying that that's a good thing, but I think people who had the faith in them to begin with validated it even more to go to church. People who, you know, did other things or helped people, whatever it was, you saw that for a good while. It may not have been a long time, but you saw it. I felt it because I was in New York. I felt it for a long time, and I saw it for a long time, and then it faded out. The reality of the world then began, and people started to get back in the notion, back in the rhythm of how they were before, and just started that train again. And I think people didn't reevaluate their lives long enough to say, this is the track that I need to be on. They quickly jumped and went back to where they were because that's where they felt comfortable. That's where they felt as though, okay, now I'm back to how it was before 9/11, so now I feel normal. But you're not normal. That's not what normal should be. You needed to reevaluate yourself. I know I did, and that's sort of how I got onto this path. So it just is, hopefully, something is going to make that change in people. I hate to say that it may be something that's going to be devastating, but I think that's going to be the bubble that's going to burst, that's going to awaken people.
While you're talking, the thing that popped into my head was Noah's Ark. So, like a flood that comes and cleans the earth. Maybe there's a cleansing that's going to come. You know, we don't know how it's going to happen, but there may be a cleansing. There may be a cleansing that will help us get to the point where we need to be. I mean, bottom line, though, I'm not feeling anything really negative, horrible, but I am feeling change. And change isn't always horrible. Sometimes change is the best thing that can happen. So if something does happen, I can't say what it's going to be, and I can't say how it's going to affect everybody. But I feel like people are going to wake up, regardless of what it is. They will wake up. And hopefully once we wake up, things will begin to go the other way. It's kind of like going to the top of that hill. You're going to the top of that hill of garbage. And once you get to the top of the garbage, the stench is going to be so bad and so horrible that you have to get off that mountain to get rid of that stench. Kind of feel that's kind of like where we're at.
We talk about all of these devastating disasters that could possibly be happening in September, but we still have time. There is still time to make a change. We all can make a change in the outcome of things. You talk about it all the time, Lucy, when you do readings for tarot, that tarot is the guide. It lays the path for you to make the decisions, but ultimately you have the decision to make to create your own destiny. And so we are our own destiny makers. And so if you see the world in the shitter, if you see it in the toilet, then make the change. It sounds so corny to say and to hear, I'll make a change and I'll do something good for someone, and hopefully that person then will do something good for someone else. Believe it does happen. It really does happen. And it does make a difference with one person. You don't need 100, 1,000, 1 million people to make a change. All you need is one person. So if we all start to think a little bit more positively, I don't care about you thinking about the world positively, but if you think about yourself positively, if you start to like yourself more, if you start to feel more confident about yourself and your life, yes, we all have negative things. We all hate our jobs. We may hate our relationships. We may hate our neighbors or whoever. We all have those things. Those things may or may not go away. Don't let them bug you down. But think about the positive things that you do have, that you do own, that you do contain, and enforce them and uplift them. You're going to see the difference that you can portray. Number one, the energy that you create by doing that for yourself radiates, and other people see that. And so when other people see that, they make a change. Lucy and I, when we travel around the country and we go to investigate and we go to different countries, I live in New York, she lives in Chicago. I think the two shittiest cities in
yes.
in the country, okay? So when we go to Ohio or, Virginia or somewhere where, people are much more pleasant. Yes, there's crime and everything else in every other city, whatever, but it's not to the extent of where we live. But when we go to other cities and towns, I'm amazed at how pleasant I am treated, just even walking down the street, being greeted in a restaurant, in a store, when we go to like CVS to pick up, batteries or something, whatever it is, the patrons in the store and the clerks and the cashiers at the store or whatever, so much different than here in New York, and I'm sure Lucy will say the same thing in Chicago. And that makes a difference because that makes me change, and that actually uplifts me and actually puts me in a good mood. And so your environment makes you change. And just that one person that I encountered at that restaurant made me feel better about myself, and therefore I put a smile on my face. So now when I walk around, I have that smile on my face, and it may uplift somebody else. Or I may say to that other person, hi, as I'm walking down the street. That then will uplift that person. It just has that chain effect, and I know you're going to say it sounds so freaking corny. I know it sounds corny, but it does make a difference. And so we have time. We do have time. We can change this energy that has sort of built up for so long. that we can change our attitudes and change our energy and at least make our local areas that we all live in a little bit different, even local meaning our own home, making that a little bit more peaceful, more positive. I think then that will make a huge difference and a huge change, because not only is it the physical that you're able to see that can make the change, but the energy that you create that's not able to be seen is felt, whether you know it or not.
I love everything that you just said. Oh, my God, that was so great. And it's true, okay? I have said it so many times. Every time I fly into Chicago, every time I walk into either Midway or to O'Hare, it's like, oh, my God, some of the most
I want to shoot myself.
Yeah, some of the most rudest, ignorant people in the world here where I live. I've had so many people ask me, you're not from here. No, I was born and raised here. But I believe in saying hi. I talk to, come on, you know, I talk to anybody. I'm willing to say hello. I call everybody honey, dear, you know, and I've had people ask me, you're not from here. No, I'm born and raised here in Chicago. But because I live here and I grew up here doesn't mean that I have to act like an idiot. And I will say it. I mean, you know, born and raised here in Chicago, but yet I see so many people that are so rude and so horrible to each other. But yet we go to another place and people are so completely different. The energy is completely different. It's peaceful. It's friendly. It's open. It's like where if you need help, there's someone there to help you. I went to England, and it was such a completely different feeling. People there were nice. People talk about the coldest of the English people. I didn't feel it. Now, I don't know if it's because what I was exuding that I got nice back, but it was one of the most pleasant experiences I ever had. I had smiles. There was no fear. I took the tube by myself. Not a single, I didn't even feel anything. But take the train here in Chicago, you're always watching your back. You're always watching your purse. You're always watching your possessions. But yet you go to a different city, a different country, and it doesn't exist. Why is that? Why is it that you can be in a major metropolitan area, such as Chicago or New York, and feel all this negativity, but when you go someplace else, I don't feel it. And again, like you said, there is crime, there is negative, but for some reason that negative isn't the overpowering thing. So it starts with yourself. If you have that sense of wonder, if you have that sense of openness, if you have that sense of belief in yourself, I really believe what you get back is a reflection of it. I think that, yeah, we can change. We can make a difference. One person can. And, yeah, it sounds like a line from a movie, but it does begin with you. It really does.
I didn't want this to turn out to be a lecture.
But it's true. I mean, like I said, I'm, you know, whatever is coming in September, I'm really not afraid of it. I mean, come on, we've lived through the end of the world how many times in our lifetimes, and in the history of the world. I mean, the end of the world has happened so many times, and each time it hasn't happened. And if you do believe, you know, if you read the Bible, and you still have some belief in it, you know, no one knows when the end is coming. No one knows. No one knows when it's going to happen. According to the Bible, only God knows. And it can happen in the blink of an eye. It can happen tonight. It could happen in the next 5 minutes. So no one knows. So you can sit and you can theorize all you want, but no one knows. No one knows when it's going to happen. You can feel things and you can feel, you know, change is coming. I believe that. I believe you could feel energy. But I truly don't believe anyone knows when the end is coming. So until then, I'm just going to have to live my life to the best that I can. And then when it happens, it happens. Then I'm moving on to whatever's next.
You know, a lot of people also, too, I've even noticed that it just seems that a lot more people are attracted to misery. They're attracted to, negative things. I even notice it even within our own field, within the radio industry. A lot of people put on shows that are geared towards the negative. I see a lot of radio shows that, constantly talk about demons and exorcism, and, that's the titles of their, radio shows all the time. And it's mostly, I'm figuring, to gain, public notice and to gain listeners and subscribers or whatever. That's their ploy in marketing. But which is fine. It's not our thing. We don't constantly do negative things. We also do positive things as well. But I'm hoping that if you are going to bring the negative to the masses and you are going to talk about the negative to the masses, that you also bring in the positive as well and not just dwell on it and leave it at that. You need to bring in the positive with it. So if you're talking about, the end of the world like we're talking about right now and the possibilities of what could happen, well, what we just talked about, that there is the possibility of change, and the change starts with everyone who's listening to the show right now. We have that ability to make that change. It is the energy. I believe that wholeheartedly, that the world and we, since we are made up of energy, we are made of stars. That's how we were born. We were born from the stars of the universe. Regardless of religion, and I don't want to get into this, regardless of all of that stuff, we are made up of stars, the components of stars. Stars have energy. We are made up of energy. And so and it is scientifically proven that you can actually not heal yourself, but you can actually make yourself feel better if you make a change in your energy, in the way that you positively assert your thinking and your just the way that you are conducting yourself. You can actually make a change in your health as well. And so, and in your mind, you can clarify things by thinking and being more positive as well. It's all about the energy, and it's redistributing that energy and enforcing that energy. And so if that can do that to your body and can do that and create a physical change just in your body, could you imagine what that could do outside? Could you imagine what that could do within the land and the earth and the universe that is out there if everyone were to be able to do that? That's a pole shift. That's a positive pole shift, in my opinion.
I think that's beautiful. I mean, think about it. According to medical science, I should be dead by now. I drink Diet Pepsi every single day. I smoke cigarettes. I mean, come on. I should be dead. But I don't believe that. I mean, I'm still here, and I'm still kicking, and I'm not going to give up. But to go back on one thing that you said, I mean, it seems like, everybody's looking for a demon. Everybody's looking for that negative. Everybody wants to hear the stories of, the spirits that scratch and do all that. What about the communication? I really believe intent has everything to do with how you are affected by the world. Your intent. If you're looking for negative, I think you're going to get negative. Everybody wants to get that thrill. And that's the thing that kind of bothers me, because, like, when I was going through YouTube, that one little video that you did, something, I forgot what it was. It was a promo, and it was, a video, a demon caught on tape. And basically what it was just a promo for the show. It was kind of like, we got you with the title, but here, listen to the show. The comments on that were so negative. Everybody was so pissed off because it wasn't a video of a demon. It was like we were the worst people in the world because we put the title up there, actual video of a demon. And when there wasn't anything, everybody was up in arms. Come on, give me a break. Everybody's looking for that negative thrill. What is it about it? Are we so immune to feeling good that only negative can make us excited? I mean, I don't understand that. And maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm being a little bit Pollyanna, which I really don't think. But it's like our highest rated shows have to do with demons and negative and all the bad things. What's the fascination with that? How about something good once in a while? Don't you think that maybe if you open up your heart to something good, spirits are there on the other side. They're not all negative. They're not all bad. They're not all there to scare you. They're trying to communicate. So you paranormal investigate. You go into a location, and you go in and you demand to be scratched. You demand that you knock this thing off the wall. What is that? How about the communication? How about finding out what's going on the other side? Talk to me. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you hear. Tell me what it's like on the other side. That's what I want to know. So I think intent is everything. I think negative will keep happening as long as we keep looking for the negative. And once we open up our hearts and our minds to the good, we're going to get the good, whether it be in science, whether it be with spirits, whether it be with health, medicine, anything. I think if we're looking for the positive, we're going to get it. But as long as we keep getting a thrill from the negative, I think it's still going to keep happening.
Well, we have about 14 minutes left, and I know Lucy and Lucy, we talked about announcing something tonight. Did you still want to announce this tonight?
Yes, of course I do.
All right, so Lucy and I, obviously, we went on our last investigation about a month or so, and we are going to be going again to another location on July 3rd, right? Is it July 3rd?
Second.
Friday, July 3rd. So the day before 4th of July. No, I think it's the 3rd, isn't it? It's the 3rd, July 3rd.
Oh, July 3rd. I'm sorry. I'm just
Friday, July Friday, July 3rd, Lucy and I are going to Hillview Manor in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. So we will again be doing a live investigation from Hillview Manor. Again, we'll try and successfully again do the YouTube video as well as possibly doing the simulcast again here on Blog Talk Radio. I'm not sure if that's going to work. So it's either going to be on the radio or we're going to do the live video YouTube. It worked out so well the last time on YouTube that hopefully we'll be doing that again this time. So I'm excited. I know I've started to do a little bit of research on the place. It is very interesting, and it's not, it's just been recently closed down. I think it was 2002 or 2004 that it was closed down. So it has similar history to Rolling Hills Asylum, where it was a poor farm and then it turned into a senior hospital, I believe. And what is interesting about Hillview Manor, from the little that I've read so far, is that at some point, and I think it was when it was a senior facility, that it was a very depressing state for I think it was maybe about for 10 years, very depressing period of time. For the folks that were patients there, but not only for them, also too for the workers, for the staff, that there were many suicides that had gone on. And there's a story of a doctor that just threw himself off the roof or threw himself out of the window of one of the floors. It just got so depressing because of the deaths and the sicknesses and everything that had gone on. So that's going to be an interesting area to tap into, only because I know that I've got history in that and understanding that, and so that's going to be something that I'm going to be intrigued to try and at least try and communicate with and try and understand in that manner. But I haven't gone to any of the videos that or any of the shows that have done this publicly. I haven't really watched any of those, and I don't know if I will. I'd just rather do a lot of the research on the land and stuff, and so we're going to focus basically mostly on that, and we're going to do a lot of good things. Lucy already had contacted Hillview Manor, and they told us that we cannot do the Ouija board there. So we won't be able to do the Ouija board there, but what we may do is, and I'm not sure, Lucy, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do a live YouTube or if it's going to be recorded, but we're going to try and do a Ouija session with Lucy and I together at the hotel in Newcastle. And we're going to try and do that the day before, so on July 2nd. Now, I'm driving in that night, and you will be, hopefully, I think, already be there.
Yeah.
So I think I'll be getting there late. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do one live or if we'll record it and we'll just upload it to YouTube and have you guys, at least be able to view it at some point. And we'll do a live, not a live, I'm sorry. We'll do a video of our Ouija session. And I'll use the board that I actually created and made for us to use. And it'll be the first time that we use it.
And if you have not seen this, go to our page. Anthony posted a picture of it. This board is absolutely beautiful. And I am really excited to use this because you did make it. So, of course, I know your energy is infused in this. I am just so anxious to get my hands on that board. I want to feel it. I want to, part of the history, some of the things that I've looked at, there's a lot of unmarked graves in back of the building where, the people that were there, after they died, they were just simply buried there in unmarked graves. I'm already getting a sense of sadness from this location. I'm getting the feeling that there's a lot of people that need to communicate. And what I'm hoping when we go in there, and I agree with you, I really don't want to watch a lot of the videos of evidence that they have. I just want to see what we're going to get. But I am getting a sense of sadness. I'm not getting any really darkness, but I'm getting sadness already. I mean, it seems like every time that we decide that we're going to go to a place and I start doing the research, that's when I start getting the feelings. And I'm already getting feelings of sadness. I get the feeling of wanting to communicate. So I know that there are a lot of stories that are in this location. Hopefully we'll be able to communicate and connect with these people. We're going to do a couple things I want to, I got scrubs. I got a stethoscope that I'm going to use, I have my doctor's coat. I mean, I really want to get in here and I really want to communicate, especially when it comes to cases of suicide. I mean, the sense of sadness that I get when someone has gotten to a point where they feel like there's no hope left except to leave this plane. I want to understand that, and I want to hopefully find out if they found their peace, maybe by listening to them, listening to their stories or communicating with them. I'm hoping that I find proof that they have found peace. I really want to believe that no matter how bad things get, that there is hope, and that's what I want. Again, like I've always said, I think intent has a lot to do with what you get, and I'm hoping that we get a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting night. We usually have great success at insane asylums or hospitals of that nature. And
crazy.
What's that?
It's because I'm crazy.
Well, we're both crazy, so we fit right in there, and they see they see in us what they see in themselves. Maybe, who knows? But we usually have great success, so it's going to be a really, really good night, I think. And we're going to, again, like we normally do, there's a bunch of things that we'll have. Again, we're going to be playing music and some audio stuff that hopefully we'll find once we do a lot more research that we'll be able to play and connect with the other side and make them feel at least comfortable or comfortable enough with us that they can speak with us. We usually tend to have great success in that factor. So we're going to do that. I'll have my doctor's coat, and we'll do a sort of that ripple effect, and maybe act out some scenes again to reenact, and again see if that conjures up any familiar feelings that may create a response or communication. So as we get closer to July 3rd, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but we just wanted to announce it to everyone tonight and let everybody in on that, and look for promotions and marketing on that. But next week's actually an exciting show, and so I want to let Lucy get into the Radio Fan of the Week and get into our promotion for next week.
Okay, well, let's go to the Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week. This week, and he's not in chat. Usually he has come into chat and joined us. It is Paul McGraw of Las Vegas, Nevada. Some of his likes, he likes the Eagles, Peter Frampton, Wheel of Fortune, Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura, Destination Truth, Paranormal State, Ghost Adventures, and, of course, he likes Paranormal Review Radio. Thank you so much for being a fan. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations, Paul.
Yeah, congratulations, Paul. You always comment and like our posts on Facebook. And don't forget, if you want to be a Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week, just like us on Facebook at Paranormal Review Radio.
Well, you know what? We experience so many things in our lives. Some of it can be explained, and some of it defies everything we know to be true. Sometimes those things are too crazy to understand, and we doubt that anyone else will believe us, and we may keep those things to ourselves. It does take courage to share those things. By sharing what we don't understand, something wonderful can happen. You will find that you are not alone. Someone else may have experienced the same thing you have. Tonight was a perfect example. Sharing your stories, your experiences, you may help someone else find the answers we're all seeking. So thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for contributing. You know what? Your search for answers makes you a paranormal pioneer. Now, speaking of paranormal pioneers, our guest next week has done a lot to open our eyes to the paranormal. He's a member of a paranormal investigative team that helped to bring the paranormal to television weekly. He has investigated some of the most haunted locations in the world with amazing results. He's an author, a singer, a television and music producer. He's a film writer and a director, a devoted family man, and now he organizes events that brings fans to some of the most haunted locations around. On top of it, he's a really nice guy. Who is he? No one else but Mr. Nick Groff. Nick will be with us next week to talk about everything paranormal and to let us know what's been going on since he's left Ghost Adventures. It's going to be a great night, so please do not miss this show. Thank you, everyone, for spending time with us. You're more than just listeners. You are family. Thank you, Anthony, for another fun show. So, until next week, dear friends, keep sharing and have a paranormal week. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Paranormal Review Radio.